Lord, as I open my eyes to another day within these walls, I confess that I am ever a dweller beneath skies, where storms assemble beyond my knowing, where the edges of my peace are sometimes pressed by shadows. I do not yet discern, for the Tao so becove. World beyond my threshold holds tempests I cannot predict, and perils that move in the silent hours when I rest unseeing. Yet within this quiet sanctuary, I acknowledge how unguarded a heart or a dwelling may become when hidden influences cross the boundary, unseen yet real as the wind that bends ancient trees. Even when the sun pours golden stripes across my table and laughter softens the corners of my house, I know that beneath such gentle brightness, the need for divine covering does not diminish. Rather, it grows urgent, for every fortress in this world, however sturdy, remains but dust without your presence, abiding at the center, breathing life and safety into timber and stone. Even when I have swept every room, locked up every entry, and spoken prayers over those whom I love, I find that my human labor falls short of the shield I truly seek, for there are currents that flow beyond my reach and threats that walk the wilderness at night. Yet your faithfulness alone delivers. Your steadfast love alone prevails. Your shadow alone turns back the ambushes that approach unseen. If you are listening and feel the tremor of uncertainty as a night wind at your window, know we are children who stand in need of more than what we can muster, and so we come in humility, seeking the covering that lies not in the might of our own vigilance, but in the strength of your enduring promise to be our refuge. You are the strong tower I long for, when the shadows grow bold, the hidden place where I may lay down my fear and rest upon the assurance that your presence fills every emptiness, guards every moment, watches every door. Lord, teach us to perceive our homes not simply as brick and mortar, but as a dwelling consecrated by your holiness, woven with threads of deliverance, anointed for purpose, shielded from all that would undermine our joy and unity. Even when storms assemble beyond the horizon of our perception, I know that your unseen hand wards off disaster. Your spirit circles these walls as fire by night and cloud by day, and your blessed ancient warm and trustworthy descends quietly until we find ourselves secure, dwelling at last beneath the shadow of the Almighty, where no danger traverses the threshold, and every hidden threat meets the impenetrable refuge of your love. Lord, as I stand within the hush of early morning, when shadows retreat and every room lies quiet in anticipation of the day, I am reminded that your calling upon my heart is not for mere rest within these walls, but to be vigilant as a watchman posted at the threshold, discerning not only the visible dangers that threaten, but the subtle adversaries that move quietly in the unseen spaces of spirit and thought, stalking the shadows that linger where the light does not yet reach. Even as the world may dismiss such threats as hidden fears or passing presences, I know that your word paints for us a greater landscape where invisible influences walk the wilderness beyond the fence line, where ancient plagues and prowling malice would dare to challenge the peace that blossoms in this place you have called home. Let me not slumber in false security, Lord, for you have awakened within me the wisdom to recognize that the battle for peace is waged not only with strong locks and careful planning, but with the shield of prayer and the flaming oil of your anointing, which fortifies doorposts and devotes every room to your presence. If you are weary this morning from threats without name, or reasoning from an unease that lingers though all seems outwardly well, we join together under the banner of your protection, calling forth your angels as ministers of flame and light, asking that they take up their stations at every threshold, pushing back that which hides in darkness and confusion. You are our strong tower in the city, our watchman by night, and our shepherd over the fields, guiding us through valleys where danger lies cloaked beneath the dew, yet never forsaking us to fight alone, but sending forth the comfort and steadfastness of your presence. I trust, O Lord, that you reveal to your beloved the mysteries that strive to enter unbidden. I know that your spirit exposes every false peace and unmasks the intents of every wandering foe that seeks admittance to the dwelling you have claimed as your own. Shelter us, Lord, in that deep serenity which flows like still waters through our home, so that nothing unclean or unholy shall cross the threshold, but all shall be sanctified and made new by the power that rests in your name. As the sun climbs above the rooftops and scatters the mist, I reaffirm my hope and expectation in you, the one who sets the watchman at every gate, who turns away the shadow, who remains as light upon our path and as a pillar between our hearts and every hidden peril. Lord, I come before you with hands uplifted, my spirit, bowed in quiet reverence, seeking to abide beneath wings, not woven by human craft, nor supported by beams hewn from earthly forest, but delicately unfolded from your own everlasting presence, strong and sheltering as the sky itself. Even as I tarry within the chambers of my home, I sense the longing that pulls me forward, not to mere safety in the material, but to a holy indwelling where your presence shapes every threshold and saturates each room with the fragrance of grace, where the wind at my windows becomes a whisper of your spirit, carrying peace that lingers long after my prayers are spoken aloud. Prepare my heart, O Lord, that this dwelling may not serve as a fortress of fear, nor as a barricade against the world, but as an altar where anxieties are surrendered and your anointing runs like oil down every frame and across every lintel. I know the true covering of a house is not wrought by skillful hands, nor sustained by vigilance alone, but is ministered each moment by the shadow of your wings, which move and hover softly, even in the hours when danger stalks unseen. You are what I long for in the quiet before dawn, a refuge that does not waver. You are the hope to which we cleave when the night presses tightly and the day holds both promise and peril in its unfolding. Help us, Lord, to consecrate our household, laying every burden, every whispered fear, and every hope before your throne, that your presence might take root and flourish within our doors, sanctifying our tables, blessing our rest and standing, steadfast between us and every plague or tempest that may arise. Let me trust, even when shadows gather, that your sure defense girds my family, as with a celestial mantle stitched together, not by frail intent, but by everlasting mercy, which encircles us like a ring of fire. Even when all that is fragile in me trembles, I know your steadfastness will hold. Even when unseen perils wait in the darkness, I know you watch and keep and shield, so that our home may become a stronghold of light and peace in the midst of raging winds. Lord, let my prayers ascend like incense, a steady offering that welcomes your nearness, and let your wings settle upon this place as morning mist upon the fields, gentle yet unbreakable, silent yet sure, a testimony that I dwell ever under the shadow of the Almighty. Lord, I come with a trembling heart, bearing oil in my hands, as the ancients once did in the midnight hush, longing to mark these lintels and thresholds with the sign of your covenant mercy, that all who wander spirit or shadow might behold the witness of your claim. Even as I walk from room to room, pausing at the entryways where comings and goings shape the rhythm of our days, let my gestures rise beyond ritual into the realm of faith, naming aloud the unseen powers that contend and anointing every force in seen powers, portal with prayer, believing that in your name every adversary must recoil, every plague must pass over, every device of darkness be turned away. You are the balm and the binding, the living oil poured upon the stones of remembrance and the doors of hope, and with each drop set apart, I acknowledge your lordship over laughter and rest over waking and dreaming, over moments of sorrow and seasons of rejoicing. Let this household, Lord, be known in heaven and feared in the valleys of adversaries, not because of our own strength, but by the testimony of your presence, which lingers upon our doorposts, declaring to every passing tempest that we belong to the King whose promises endure. If you tremble today with a burden you cannot name, and the shadows seem to gather at your threshold, you know there is an anointing that establishes a boundary, a consecration that is neither visible nor fragile, but wrought in the eternal, invisible fire that guards what the world cannot see. I know, Lord, that as your light rests upon my walls and your oil marks my doors, every curse dissolves, every whisper of fear is cast down, and the breath of your spirit rushes through these hallways like the cool wind after a summer storm. Even when the darkness presses near and old wounds ache with remembrance, I trust in the oil of gladness and the shield of your salvation, for you are my keeper and my deliverer, the one who names me beloved and seals my home with the sign of heavenly peace. Lord, let the fragrance linger long after the anointing is done, so that all who enter may know here dwells a people sheltered by the oil, guarded by the presence, and kept by the everlasting arms. Lord, when darkness moves in quiet across the floorboards and presses against the glass with breath unseen, I come before you as one acquainted with the weight of midnight, sensing the silent perils that prowl in the hush between heartbeats, where sighs go unspoken and fears gather softly as dew upon the silent landscape. Even when peace seems to reign over my dwelling by the counting of daylight hours and the order of daily rhythms, I know there are adversaries that advance in stillness, malice that drifts like a cold mist at the edge of consciousness, sorrow that creeps through the chambers of memory, unrest and confusion that nestle in corners unlit by common flame. Lord, I do not claim to understand every movement of this hidden wilderness, yet I lift up intercession for all who feel the nearness of unseen affliction, standing on behalf of weary hearts and anxious souls who cannot always find words for their distress. You are the strong tower to whom we flee in the darkest watch of night, the fire that never turns to ash, the voice that commands peace, even when we cannot name the tempest that encircles. Let your presence be our light through veils of shadow. Let your hand be the rock upon which the hostilities of the night exhaust themselves and are broken. Even when worry lingers like smoke or doubt persists where certainty once dwelt, I trust that your spirit moves with silent authority, dismissing the powers that whisper and setting a boundary where only your peace endures. If you, beloved sojourner, feel the grip of the unknown or the heaviness of unshed tears in the watches when the world is still, know that we together invoke the covering of the Most High, pleading the solace of the shepherd who guides through shadowed valleys and draws us into still waters beyond the reach of fear. Lord, I lay each silent peril at your feet, for I know you deliver those who dwell in your presence. You chase away the emptiness and restore the soul's quiet. You still the scurrying shadows until at last every room within and every room without is filled with the hush of your perfect peace. Lord, I come before you in sacred longing, seeking to build, not with hands alone, but with prayer upon prayer, speaking your protection over every timber, every stone, every emptied space where the echo of laughter or the hush of sorrow lingers. Even as the early rays of morning pierce the curtains and the hush of memory settles in hidden corners, I proclaim your name as the foundation of this house, beseeching you to set your mighty walls of refuge round about us, that nothing, unclean or unjust, shall pass where your spirit dwells. You are the master builder and the wise architect. You lay the cornerstone with your own mercy, and every boundary I name in faith becomes a line you enforce with celestial resolve that no storm or tide of adversity might breach. Let your presence be as fire in the hearth, as oil upon the hinges, as light that dances along the hallways, so that every room and closet, every resting place and gathering spot shall become a sanctuary hallowed by your peace. Even the shadowed spaces where worry might try to take root, or where old disappointments whisper through the night, I now speak your deliverance. I now invite the river of your grace to flow, washing clean the dust of yesterday and sweeping away every remnant of harm. If you, reader, feel the weight of concern for those who pass beneath your roof or lie down under your care, let us together declare that no curse, no bitterness, no fear shall lay claim to what the Lord has sealed, for his blessing endures in perpetuity. Lord, you are the strong tower at the boundary, the refuge at every entrance, the guardian who neither slumbers nor turns away his watchful gaze. I trust that your spirit will anoint the walls and the doors, sealing our joys and our griefs, our labor and our rest, into a dwelling transformed by your hidden hand. May every threshold sing with the echo of your faithfulness, until this house stands not as mere shelter from the wind, but as a witness to the rock that cannot be shaken and the peace that surpasses every trial and storm. Lord, as the hush of night descends and every familiar thing stands veiled in the mystery of dusk, I come to you not as one trembling at the shadows, but as one standing secure upon the authority you have bestowed, declaring this dwelling as stronghold and sanctuary beneath the banner of your name. Even when encroaching fears stir and seek admittance at the edge of reason, or when the memory of old struggles drifts like fog through the corridors of my mind, I will remember that you do not leave your beloved unguarded, nor yield your territory to the schemes of the adversary. Let me stand, Lord, not in my own strength, but upon the rock of your faithfulness, lifting high the shield of your presence, and calling on your power to surround this household as a rampart, more enduring than stone, more radiant than any flame that has ever flickered against the darkness. You are the strong tower to whom we run the fortress, whose gates need not be shut in fear, the deliverer who commands the hosts of heaven and speaks peace over chaos, so that every encroaching shadow is cast out and every foul device broken, even when the world beyond this roof trembles with uncertainty. Even as we sense troubles lurking like wild beasts in the wilderness, we trust that your decrees stand as the pillars of this house, raising every foundation and girding every wall with the strength of your everlasting covenant. Lord, teach us to speak your word with assurance over doorways and sacred spaces, to declare your victory over every plot that seeks to take root where you have planted blessing, to claim your authority and expect deliverance not as a distant hope, but as a present reality. You are the radiance in the midnight hour, the pillar of fire that marks the difference between safety and danger, dwelling and lost light and utter shadow. And even when the night is at its deepest and all the world is stilled, I will rest beneath the certainty that your strong tower stands unshaken, encircling our home with a defense not born of this earth but sustained by the breath and word of the eternal. Lord, even as I bow my head in this quiet hour, I come before you longing for the light that cannot be quenched, for your radiant presence that pours gold over the shadows and strikes fear from every hidden thing, that I may declare with holy confidence the arrival of dawn within my dwelling. You are the flame that cannot be smothered, the gentle lantern in the window, the blaze that reveals every wayward intent and exposes the snares that would encroach upon peace. So I lift my voice in trust and let your light be spoken into every hallway and every heart under this roof. Even when darkness presses close and the silence grows thick, I know that you do not abandon your children to walk without star or torch, but guide us through every valley of obscurity with your own steadfast illumination. We trust you, Lord, to dispel every shadow that clings to our doorposts. And in the hour when doubt or dread seeks shelter among us, your word travels before us like the morning, scattering confusion and calling order from the wildness of the night. Let me be bold in my declarations of your presence, Lord, not only as a whisper in the secret places, but as a song that rises clear and unafraid, a proclamation that your truth is the light upon our path, and your faithfulness the sun that never sets. If you, beloved listener, carry a heaviness that darkness has tried to fasten upon your spirit, receive this prayer as a spark, and let it kindle hope within you, for we stand together beneath the promise of a God who fills every emptiness with vague, uncreated light. Even when fatigue would settle or sorrow would seek to claim the corners of our home, I know your radiance will burn through silence and shadow alike, and I trust that every room, every mind, every anxious hour shall be flooded with the 70H, clarity and warmth that only your presence bestows. Lord, may this house reflect your brightness, so not even the memory of darkness may linger. Only the peace that comes at sunrise, only the quiet hymn of your unwavering light. Lord, I come before you with my soul like parched earth, craving the blessing of still waters that flows from your throne, placing every wandering anxiety, every rattling discord, every fatigue that walks through corridors of memory before your everlasting presence, knowing that you alone can call forth peace where unrest has dug its trenches. Even as I tread quietly through the rooms of this dwelling, hear the gentle repetition of footsteps, and rest my hand upon the smooth wood of familiar tables, I realize how easily disorder might creep in, if not for your spirit who gathers chaos and beckons tranquility with a single holy gesture. Let me, in this moment of consecration and longing, invite the river of your peace to baptize each room so completely that even the walls seem to remember the hush of Eden and the laughter of children running beside the waters you command. You are not only the refuge in the time of calamity, but also the arranger of the unhurried day, pouring your order over every part of our living as dew upon the early grass, letting no bitterness settle into the crevices, but sweeping every hidden sorrow out upon a tide of blessing. Lord, as streams carve paths through wilderness and bring secret springs to thirsty valleys, let your presence do the quiet miracle in my home, restoring rest where weariness has found a seat, sowing contentment where fretfulness lingers, imposing your divine stillness over every echo of unrest. Even when the world outside rushes wild and uncompromising, I know you can fill our hours with an unearthly calm, a holy silence broken only by the melody of your love and the abiding joy of salvation. If you find your heart troubled, beloved, let us together receive the benediction of still waters, asking that his peace would not only visit, but dwell, not only settle, but overflow, until every boundary is traced by serenity and every placed threshold anointed by rest. Lord, I trust the order you speak will be established as a rock beneath these floors, and the peace you decree will ripple like sunlight on a river, blessing both waking and sleeping, both gathering and retreat, until this home reflects the tranquility of dwelling under your wings. Let the gentle current of your spirit remain here, marking these walls with the quiet strength and enduring comfort of rest beside still waters. Lord, I come before you on bended knee, holding in my palms every trembling fear, each subtle anxiety that flickers through the quiet hours, the burdens I have carried in secret and cloaked in dutiful silence, longing at last to lay them down at your feet in trust that transforms and renews. Even when my spirit strains to keep vigil at every window, when my mind is restless with every what if and every ounce of vigilance can neither guarantee nor manufacture the peace that surpasses understanding, I know your word calls me from, striving into true surrender, inviting my soul into that holy refuge where striving falls away, and your keeping becomes the boundary and the breath of every day. If you, tender fellow sojourner, have known the sleeplessness that comes with loving deeply, the heaviness that attends worry for those within your gates, let us together united in hope release what we cannot keep by force into the hands of him whose faithfulness erects a fortress about our dwelling and whose mercies never fail. You are the watchman who never tires, the shepherd who calls each one by name, the deliverer whose promise is not lessened by our frailty, but shines all the brighter through it. And so I open every locked place in my heart, every room and home, that your presence might fill what I relinquish, inhabiting all I entrust. Lord, I know that your strong tower is not shaken by the noise of the world, nor by the arrows that fly in secret. I declare this house, this family, this life, held in your grasp, not by anxious clutching, but by the freedom that rests beneath the shadow of your wings. Even when storms arise or shadows crowd the path, I trust your peace will outlast every wind, and your light will expose and dispel every shadow that attempts to approach. Grant me, O God, the blessedness of holy surrender of dwelling, secure and unafraid, for you are both the keeper of my nights and the guardian of my days, the refuge to whom I run, and the joy that makes me whole. Let my heart and the hearts of all who sojourn in these halls abide beneath the cover of your steadfast love. Let us dwell secure and surrendered, weighted not by fear but carried gently upon the still waters of your safekeeping. If this prayer spoke to you, carry it with you as you go. May you dwell in the peace that only God's sheltering presence can bestow.